All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of The Market Close. It is Monday, November 25th, 3:46 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And what turned out to be a bright green Monday morning in regards to the global capital equity markets are still green, but not as green as they were before. And in some areas, we are definitely red. Bitcoin, 94,873. This is kind of messing up a lot. Some of the proxies tied to Bitcoin today that were doing very well and are still doing relatively well given the decline of Bitcoin today, but 94,900 right now on Bitcoin. I think this is kind of one of the reasons for why market's struggling just a little bit in different sectors is you've got Bitcoin right here down below this 96,000 level. NVDA also struggling. We'll talk about NVIDIA. I have a theory on why NVIDIA is down. I'm going to talk about that theory and see if there's any legs behind it, but NVIDIA is down 3.82%. You got Palantir that goes red. It got to 67.88 in the morning. Was excited. Got two $75 price targets. Honestly, it's pretty reasonable that it's taking a little bit of a break after getting that high, but I think all of us wanted to see 70. It doesn't look like 70 is happening today. But Palantir right here is $64.17, down about 1/3% after the gains that it had from the pre-market. You got Tesla right here down 2%. Rocket Lab is up 2.9%. MicroStrategy is down about 5%. Marathon's up 1%. It was up 10%. Ethereum at 3,400. Again, Bitcoin 94,800. Robinhood holding up pretty damn well at 37.74. Close above 37 to me is pretty incredible for Robinhood. S&P at 597. The Qs are green on the day, but not green as much as they were before. They were at 509. Now they're at 506. IWM is really what's outperforming today. All-time high, 243 on small caps, up about 2%. You got Bitcoin down, small caps up, rest of the market broadly flat to green. I mean, you got some superstars today like HIMS. That's up, 23% currently right now, getting back everything that they lost from Amazon last week. But outside of that, Bitcoin going down obviously has affected different stocks that we have today. So we got a lot of headlines, want to talk through a lot of topics. I have some theories on kind of how I'm looking at valuation right now and how I'm looking at NVIDIA in particular. And we're going to go through all that, talk about it, and keep going from there. All right, let's get started. Thank you everybody for being here. Bay Ray, Midwest, Astrikis, William, Vibob, what's up? I'm Beneficial, Ryan, Belly, Hamzy, Andy, Lena, Alberto, Brian, Gene, what's up? Turnaround Tuesday. Yeah, hopefully tomorrow. Even though we're so green already, dude. We're so freaking greedy. Just seeing a little bit of red. But yes, thank you everybody for being here today. Got a lot to talk about and a lot to get into. Cole, Hazard, John, Alberto, Be Worthy, Philip, John, Monica, Servana, Spinning Nichols, Toto, Austin, Lars, Jody, Chris, Pascal. Thank you, everybody, for being here today. Astrikis says he hasn't said my name in a long time. Well, Astrikis, thank you for being here. Appreciate you being part of the show. All right, so I think we'll start off with valuation and kind of how I'm thinking about that right now and what's happening. Well, first of all, let's start off with NVIDIA because it ties into the valuation argument. I have a theory why NVIDIA is down. NVIDIA is getting hit the worst out of everything today. And again, if you bought NVIDIA at $30, you're probably not crying. But if you bought NVIDIA at $145, you're probably a little annoyed. Why is NVIDIA down 3.7%? Well, here is what I'm thinking. I think, and it's a theory, it might not be the best theory, but it is indeed a theory. I think there is an argument that all of these Wall Street firms are making in unison because they all basically talk and they all go up and down at the same time. And 7 months ago, software was not the place to be in. The place to be in was semis. Today, I think that's changed. I think the place that people want to be in now is software. So if you look at the SaaS names right here, a lot of them were green throughout the day. Now they're slightly red, down a little bit, down 2-3%. I think the money is rotating potentially from NVIDIA into the software names. Now, that doesn't mean NVIDIA can't go up. That doesn't mean NVIDIA's, only stuck at 145. It hit 152 last week. But I do think there is a decent amount of money saying, why are we buying NVIDIA when we know the only reason NVIDIA is useful is because a Palantir, a Snowflake, a Datadog, a Confluent, Elastic, ServiceNow, et cetera, needs to implement what these LLMs are promising. And I don't think that's the best argument because I think NVIDIA's pure growth in and of itself is so incredible and it's hard to deny their pure growth. But I think that is the argument. And I think if that is the argument, as David says right here, 2025 AI play is software, well, then you got a lot of people that are probably saying, wait a second, if the 2025 play is software, then why am I over allocating to a hardware play that I'm already concerned about their gross margins? I'm already concerned if they can keep up the growth. And we know they're going to be able to keep up the growth, but those are general concerns that take place versus software companies that have better models, I don't even model, I mean business models, right? They're more predictable. They don't have to deal with too much geopolitical risk. Also, here's another thing. Can you the tariffs, do they really affect software as much? I mean, indirectly, yes, software is affected by it, but it's software, right? And so the level of tariffs imposed on software should be minimal compared to a lot of the other hardware names. SoFi right here, 1574 currently on the day. Yes, Archer also having an incredible day. Archer right here up 24%. So 748 right now on Archer. And I think that's my argument. I think that's my argument in the context of NVIDIA. It's a very simple argument. I think NVIDIA will be fine. The dip doesn't get really that attractive to me until 130. But at 135 down 4%, the only logic I have is people are saying, let's transition into software names, but which is weird because all the Wall Street firms have initiated NVIDIA as a buy and they raised their price target after earnings. But still, you got a lot of people thinking the opposite right here. So NVIDIA right here down about 4%. Rest of the Max 7 here today. Apple up 1%, Microsoft up 1%, Meta's up 0.5%, Google's up 1.7%. So Google getting some love almost. It was at 170 at one point. Amazon at 201, and then NVIDIA down 4%. The other reason NVIDIA is down, this was a basic headline this morning, and if this is the actual reason NVIDIA is down, then this is really stupid, but I guess this could be a reason. Bloomberg published an article that said Amazon is coming to take NVIDIA's lunch. We'll talk about Jose. Well, yeah, we'll talk with this. We'll talk to Jose about this later this week when he's on the show. But this was Bloomberg's front page. Amazon's moonshot plan to rival NVIDIA in AI chips. The cloud computing giant won't dislodge the incumbent anytime soon, but is hoping to reduce its reliance on the chip maker. If there's any argument by the broader investing base around NVIDIA that they feel that it's not that Amazon's going to take their lunch, but Amazon's going to reduce a little bit of the lunch that they have to offer, then it's a question of, okay, so Amazon's not beating NVIDIA, but NVIDIA is not growing as much potentially because of Amazon. And you know, I think that's a very premature argument, but that's the headline from Bloomberg today, right? And that could be one of those reasons for why this is happening. Google is doing that as well with their TPUs, correct. Now, Google and Amazon have a very symbiotic relationship with NVIDIA, even though they are building pseudo competitors, because there's a lot of ways that TPUs and GPUs interact with each other. However, if you assume that one day Google and Amazon wake up and they say, we are tired of paying the NVIDIA tax, even though they can't really do anything about it because they don't have the IP that NVIDIA has, that could be a potential argument that people think could lead to a sell-off of NVIDIA and then a transition into some of the other Max 7 names. Let's get an update on valuation. Here's some talk around where 2025 is going and what could be the valuation argument for 2025 continuing to expand multiples and justify these current multiples.
So the valuation of the market, it's 21.5 times. What seemed overly expensive to some a month ago, is it reasonable today because of the idea of these more stimulative policies that are going to lead to higher growth, thus higher earnings? If you do all that and you can get rates to, stay where they are, if not come a little bit lower, is that multiple justified?
I mean, our work has shown that basically it is. If you can be in a situation where earnings are above average, average is probably 8 to 9%. If you're looking at kind of 12 to 13% over the next 2 years, and you're in a situation where monetary authorities are cutting year over year, historically, that's an environment where you can hold a higher PE ratio over this time period. The question really is,
can you expand it?
In our view, we wouldn't expect it to expand it. I think the good news is if you look at, the Mag 7 and one of the most important names in the Mag 7 that was trading at 40 times is up over 400%. That PE is actually contracted because earnings have been so strong. So if you get the stronger earnings, I think you can justify a multiple at that level. The flip side to that is if you do run into an overheated economy, you have a situation where rates have to stay higher, exuberance goes higher, you could be in a situation where that lower tail becomes a real issue and there's no margin of safety when you're trading at these levels.
How about the valuation?
So valuations aren't a timing tool. And we wouldn't make the argument that they are overwhelmingly sustainable or attractive at today's levels. But we also aren't making the argument that they can't go higher, because in this environment of fiscal support and monetary support, there's no saying that they can't push to new highs and really retest the highs that we got back in 2020. If we go much higher, though, we think we would be in that bubble territory and melt up territory where valuation becomes a risk in and of itself eventually. But again, it's not a 1-year timing tool. It's 2-3 years out.
Now, if that happens, the whole market gets hit, right? Like if we get to the point where it's a legit bubble, eventually it pops. Some people are saying we have a bubble right now. I disagree. I think there's elements of the market that are definitely overheated, but I don't think Google trading at 21 times earnings is a bubble. So if that, and again, I'm cherry picking here because a stock market bubble means that everything's taking a hit. And Google at 21 times earning is not a stock market bubble to me. You could say maybe individual names are definitely bubblish in terms of how expensive they've gotten, but it's not 2021 because everything in 2021, in my opinion, or even when you look at the numbers, it was just ridiculous, right? Meta didn't deserve to be $1 trillion. Google was almost Google was 2.5 trillion or something. Like the number, Amazon got to the levels that it's at right now in 2021 when it didn't deserve that. So I think we are not at the stage where we have to start really thinking, all right, is the stock market in itself in a bubble? And is it getting scary from here? But I agree with Cameron. If we keep expanding multiples without earnings growth, we can get there. But it doesn't look like that's happening. It looks like we're going to expand earnings growth. One of the reasons we're going to expand earnings growth is because we have a Trump administration. Speaking of the Trump administration, guess who met with Trump yesterday? Anduril co-founder and former Palantir engineer, Trey Stevens. If anyone knows Trey Stevens, I've watched some interviews of him. This guy is very passionate for Palantir. He worked there. He was one of their early forward deployed engineers, and he co-founded Anduril. It looks like Trump is consulting with the new defense tech companies on where the government spend on software and hardware is actually going to. And that is why Lockheed Martin right now down 4%. Now, maybe this meeting is a reason Lockheed Martin is down 4%. It could be for other reasons why Lockheed Martin is down. But the point is the new defense tech companies, Anduril and Palantir, it does look like Trump wants to talk to these guys and see what they're doing. And if we actually see some further momentum on that relationship, then that obviously could be very, very bullish. Another thing I want to show you guys in regards to that, this was really, really important from the Wall Street Journal article. Then we'll talk a little bit more about Palantir. Yeah, right here. So this was the quote from the article. We'll talk about Tesla in a second as well. 3 minutes until the market closes. Trey Stevens, a partner at Peter Thiel's Founders Fund's venture capital firm, is under consideration by President-elect Donald Trump to become the Deputy Secretary of Defense. This is the Anduril co-founder. Who was a former Palantir employee. According to two people familiar with the transition, the selection of either investor could come as a welcome news for the hundreds of new defense startups that have entered into the military market in recent years. Also, Palantir is servicing a lot of these defense tech companies because of FedStart, which we don't talk about enough. But FedStart is one of those platforms that actually allows these defense tech companies to successfully and securely sell into the United States government. So there might be another reason why Palantir is going up outside of the numbers, and that's because of increased government growth. Mariana, I'm working on getting the Bank of America report from my plug. I will get it probably soon and then post it on Twitter. But what she said in her basic thesis was that the government business is going to grow rapidly. And, when you got Palantir engineers meeting with the Trump White House to become Deputy Secretary of Defenses, then that's an argument that can actually help Palantir and all of the defense tech ecosystem. So we got to kind of see how it plays out, but it looks like we are getting some momentum. Anduril had a presentation at Palantir DevCon today. It was kind of boring ERP stuff. Yeah, they posted that video. That's on Palantir's Twitter as well. So the relationship between Anduril and Palantir continuing to do well. All right, we got about 30 seconds until the close. SoFi 1572, HIMS, incredible day, up 23%. If you ignored the Amazon competition last week, which is what it takes to be an investor, right? Sometimes you got to ignore the noise. You deserve these gains, especially if you bought that dip. 23% on HIMS at $31. IWM at 242. The Qs at 506. Amazon at 201. You got Robinhood. Nice day, 3.3%, trying to close above that 37.50 range, which I think we're going to get. Tesla selling off into the close, down about 4%. MicroStrategy as well, down 4%. Rocket Lab up 3%. And then you have NVDA into the close. NVIDIA down about 4.2%. All right, November 25th. 4 p.m., the stock market is now closed. All right, we got a lot of stuff to talk about, but let's just take a look at how the market closed and what we're looking at, and then we'll get into some of the headlines that we got. Thank you, everybody, for being here today. Palantir closed the day up 0.44%, two $75 price targets. That's good. But not enough for the street to keep get some more momentum. Again, we kind of already know it is getting expensive, so it makes sense that there were sellers at that 67 level. But Palantir maintaining the 60s, which is important. NVIDIA right here, 135, down 4% on the day. That is a decent chunk of market cap that got taken away from NVIDIA. SoFi right here, 1570, could not close above 16, but did touch 16 a couple times. 1570, not bad for SoFi. HIMS, 3138, up 23%. The Qs up about 0.16%. IWM up 1.5, which is really good. Amazon 201. Robinhood closes at 3785, up 3.27% of the day. Not bad at all. Tesla, 338, down about 4%. We'll do some digging to see kind of what took Tesla down today. MicroStrategy down about 4.3%, still holding that $400 range. You got Grindr at 1520. That was up about 1% of the day. CleanSpark ended down 1%. Enphase, nice little comeback here, up 9%. Not bad at all for Enphase. Oklo was down 9%. ASTS was up 0.5%. Rivian was up 13% on the day. Apple is up 1.3%. Steve's coming out with an article, I think tomorrow, about why Apple is a buy right here. And I was giving him some shit because he says he hates Palantir, but he loves Apple. I'm like, Apple's not even growing. But Apple right here, 237, up about 1.37% on the day. Amazon, 201, up 2.2%, not bad. Meta right here at 565. And then you got NVIDIA down about 4% on the day. All right, let's get into some of the other headlines. We have Bitcoin, by the way, 95,000. The fact that it's holding the 90s to me is already impressive. I mean, like that to me, as just someone who's observing Bitcoin, I think that is incredible. I think 100K is going to happen. I think it's going to take a lot of fight. Oh, here's this great video that Carlos posted. And it kind of gives you some perspective on what it means to break over 100K. So when Bitcoin was at 9,000 and it was trying to break through 10,000, look at the wall. Take a look at this. This was the wall back in, what year was, I have no idea what year. This was at least 10 years ago when Bitcoin was trying to break over 10K. It had to be before 2020. And as you can see, there's a big, nasty red wall stopping it from happening. But eventually, the buyers come in. I think the same thing's going to happen with 100,000. Obviously, 100,000, the psychological element of it is bigger than 10,000. But at the time, 10,000 was crazy, right? Because at that time, when people were barely finding platforms to be able to buy Bitcoin on, it was insane to think there were enough buyers. There were no ETFs. There was no Larry Fink. There was no Michael Saylor. So I think 2016. So basically 10 years ago, 8 years ago, it seems like that may be the same thing in the context of 100K. Oh, we do have Zoom earnings today. Let me pull that up. So I have some headlines I want to run through, but let's just take a look at Zoom. Zoom is up 1% after hours. Let's see if we have the numbers yet. Does anyone own Zoom? Does anyone care? Remember when Kathy said this is going to go to 1,500 by 2026? That is a real price target. She said 1,500 by 2026 on Zoom. It was the AI compounding video conference platform. That was the thesis. Street wants 131 of EPS and 1.16 billion of revenue. So still waiting on Zoom. The problem with her thesis, even when she published it, is forget the company. Zoom doesn't grow. Zoom grows like 2 to 4% a year. They don't grow. Like, this is not a growth stock. This is not the COVID kind of growth story. Like, it just doesn't grow. And so that's why I always felt the name was weird. I guess you could make a bull case for Zoom as a product. I love the I pay for Zoom every month, but the growth was not there. So it was hard to see how they got to like $1,500. Zoom still don't have the numbers yet. We'll wait for the numbers. We should get an answer on that in a little bit, but Street wants about 1.16 billion in revenue and 131 on EPS. And then we'll probably see a move when it comes to Zoom. People still use Zoom. Yeah, I use Zoom pretty much every week. I pay for the subscription. I have a bunch of meetings on Zoom. It's the easiest thing to set up. $15 a month to me it's pretty reasonable for the value I get from it. But it's not, the growth story that it was in COVID when the whole world was shut down and everyone had to use Zoom. But we will wait on those Zoom numbers and see what it looks like. All right, so let's get into some headlines as we get into the close. Now, tomorrow is going to be a big day for earnings. Again, we got a lot of companies in the morning, a lot of companies in the security and software space afternoon, MongoDB, CrowdStrike, etc. So we'll be looking at all those names. But here's some things. So first of all, going back to Palantir, Arnie looked at some modeling with his DCF, and this is what a $75 price target implies, just to give people some context on what we're looking at. 4 things that it implies: 32% revenue growth over the next 10 years, 40% free cash flow margins over the next 10 years after taxes, 2% dilution, which I think relatively has been the same. It's been about 2% dilution per year, a 10% discount rate, and a 5% terminal multiple. When you put all those things together, which are some pretty hardcore assumptions that Palantir will be able to compound at 32%, above 30% for a decade. Not a lot of companies are able to do that. It's pretty difficult, but if there's any company that could do it, given the demand cycle that we're seeing, I think it's Palantir. And that's how you get to 75. Now, granted, that is a numerical way to justify it. I think we can all agree Palantir is not really trading on the numbers. There's a lot more qualitative elements that people care about, or at least it seems like the street cares about. And that's why you're getting Palantir get some momentum currently right here. Zoom is dumping. Zoom is dumping. Oh boy, let's take a look at it. Are we dumping? We are indeed dumping. Hold on, let's switch it to the minute candle. Yeah, there you go. Whoa, red candle down 5%. It was down 7%. Zoom's down. Zoom is down on Zoom. All right, let's see if we can get the numbers. What are the numbers? And then I'll read a little bit of Bank of America's report today because it kind of highlights this whole government thesis and potential for Palantir to keep growing. Zoom numbers, not out yet, but it looks like the numbers are not the best. We're still waiting for them. Let me see if someone else has it. Zoom. Yeah, no one has the numbers yet. Oh, no, he got the numbers. Oh, it's a beat on the top and the bottom. Beat on the top and the bottom. We got a beat on the top and the bottom. Tesla was excluded from the California EV credit proposal. I saw that headline, but now that I'm seeing that headline in the chat again, that's why Tesla fell 4% into the close. So we'll talk about that. I did see that headline. I didn't think much of it, but now it makes a lot of sense. Earnings per share, 138 versus 131. Revenue, 1.17 versus 1.16. Double beat. Stock is recovering. We're getting a recovery. It's coming back. Yeah, double beat, I don't think deserves to be down in this market, 7%. But there's got to be some number that caused that initial reaction, whether it's guidance, whether it's something about share buybacks, something that's getting the street upset. Down about 3.4%. It just turned slightly green, now still down 4% on the day. All right, that's what you got for Zoom. Pretty much it. Again, the stock is... I mean, when it was in like the 50s, I guess there was an argument there. Year to date, it is up 30% on Zoom. How much does Kathy still own of this? Let's see. Because I would imagine if she gets tired of this one, she'll just get rid of it and move on. She owns in the ARK KK fund. Oh, wait a second. She sold out of Zoom a long time ago. She doesn't have Zoom anymore. How did I forget that? She's out of Zoom, bro. She's been out of Zoom for a minute. Look at this. It's not even in the ARK ETF. It's gone. Yeah, I forgot. Dude, I think this was like 7 months ago where every day she was selling Zoom. And I think I remember those notifications. It's just been a couple months, so I forgot. Yeah, she's out. All right, so Kathy doesn't care. She doesn't give a shit anymore. Now no one cares, bro. Now no one cares. LOL, now Zoom is going to rocket. Yeah, so she's been out of Zoom for a while. Okay, so let's talk about Tesla. So the Tesla EV credit news was pretty interesting. I'm putting 2 and 2 together. I was actually at the gym today. You boys back at the gym. And this is when I saw the Tesla headline, but I didn't think much of it because I was, gymming. By the way, I went to the sauna in the gym after my run, and there was like 12 guys in there. No one talked about Bitcoin. So I kind of think that's bullish because usually in the sauna, they talk about anything. And usually they talk about everything. So the fact that they didn't mention Bitcoin, I actually think that's a little bit bullish. Means we have some room to go. Okay, so Tesla, some EV tax credits came out in California, and this is the headline that we're looking at. So Newsom is proposing a new California EV credit. The credit would get rid of Tesla from being included, which I don't know why, but let's read a little bit from this right here. California Governor Gavin Newsom on Monday unveiled plans to offer state incentives to EV buyers if President-elect Donald Trump repeals a federal subsidy. This would potentially look like it's looking like $7,500 as well. So they're just going to replace it. The move would cut market-leading Tesla out of a key incentive program aimed at spurring wider adoption of EVs at a time of slower growth for all electric vehicles. Tesla's models do qualify for the federal credit, which was introduced as a part of President Joe Biden's Inflation Reduction Act. The governor's office told Bloomberg News that the current proposal includes market share limitations that would exclude Tesla popular EV models. The details would be under negotiation. Someone said it's about creating the market conditions for more of these car makers to take root. Wow. So California is saying, theoretically, we want Rivian and Polestar and all these other guys to gain market share against Tesla. Therefore, we're going to exclude them from the EV credit. And that is a confirmed statement from the office of the governor to Bloomberg. This is... This doesn't feel right, dude. This does not. That is like, I mean, I know we're already talking about government subsidies, but when you exclude one car company that started the EV revolution just to get others market share, that seems insane, bro. That like, I don't want to say they're going full on socialist, but it kind of feels a little ridiculous. Like, how do you what would be the reason to exclude Tesla's EV? Because it sells too much? Okay, that's called capitalism. People are buying Teslas over Rivians. Like, you as the government cannot artificially say, hey, Rivian, we need to get your sales up. Like, what? Like, you can say for EVs, we need to get the sales up if you have some mandate around, climate change or whatever. Like, I guess you could justify that, but it's hard to justify picking the companies inside of the mandate to win or not win. And so now that I'm reading this, it makes a lot of sense why Tesla sold off 4%. Now, granted, I don't think anyone cares about the EV subsidies for Tesla. Tesla is an autonomy story. Tesla's a Trump story. Tesla doesn't need the $7,500 EV credit. Will they get some lower sales in the short term? Yes. But I don't think that means that long term, Tesla sales are going to be destroyed by Rivian because of the subsidy, even if they're excluded in California. But it makes sense that I guess that's why Tesla got sold down today. Same thing we saw 2 weeks ago, and then it rebounded 8% the next day after the market woke up and they said, we don't really care about the tax credit. That is wild. Elon tweeted about this. Okay, what did Elon say? This is kind of wild. Also, I got to show you guys another clip after this that Elon tweeted. Elon said this is insane. Yeah, makes sense, dude. At this point, if I was him, I'd just be tired of this. I mean, unless there's something else going on where Tesla really messed up or something, and but I can't fathom any justification to exclude a company from the EV credit when they make the most EVs in your state. Elon says, even though Tesla is the only company who manufactures their EVs in California. Oh, wow. I didn't know that. Rivian doesn't make their EVs in California. Where does Rivian make their cars? Holy crap. That makes it even worse. Yeah, Rivian makes it in Georgia and Illinois. Wow, dude, that is wild. Tesla is the only company that makes that manufactures their EVs in California, that started the EV revolution, that got people to even think that EVs were reasonable against ICE vehicles, that is growing the most when it comes to EVs, that has the best product. I mean, objectively, people love Teslas. And now they are considered to be excluded from the EV buyer credits in California. This is not just me, right? That's saying this is insane. This is not just me, right? This is, we can all agree this is kind of wild. Even if you don't like Tesla, you don't like Elon, this has got to be wild, bro. Granted, I do think people will buy this dip. Doug says that's not socialist, that's fascist. It's not good for the government to be reaching in like that, bro. That is tough. That is something new. I saw this headline in the gym, but I just didn't think much of it. Now when I'm reading it, I'm like, wow. Picking and choosing which companies get an EV credit. You either got to be fair. Either everyone gets it or no one gets it, which is what Elon's saying should happen. Elon's not saying, hey, give the oil and gas industry subsidies. Elon's saying, get rid of the EV ones, get rid of the oil and gas ones. Let it be a true marketplace. And he said that pretty definitively last year in an interview when we watched that clip 2 weeks ago of him saying he doesn't care about any subsidies, but all of them should be gone. Picking and choosing is wild. Zoom now turning green, up about 1% after a double beat on earnings. They were down 7%, now up 1%. Tesla down even more after hours, down another 0.5% right here. It feels political, right? It feels kind of political. I'm not even trying to be political right now, but it does feel political. Why would you exclude Tesla other than you don't like Elon or I want Rivian to succeed? But then it's the government should not be saying that about an individual company at all, right? The only time you say that about, I can understand if Tesla's the only EV creator in 2008 and the government's trying to prop up Tesla because they want EVs to become more important, then I get it. But when there's an actual marketplace of EV manufacturers competing against each other, you have to have the same rules for them, right? You have to have some level of a level playing field for these guys to work on. It's wild. That's very, very wild. Christian, thank you for the $10 super chat. Amit, why doesn't Archer give... Oh, you're saying why don't they give a bigger credits rather than exclude? Looks like a less asshole that way. Yeah, I mean, look, if they can, that's actually a good point. So if they gave Rivian $1,000 more in credits and gave Tesla $1,000 less, I still think that's crazy. But if they did that, they definitely look less crazy by excluding Tesla. That's for sure. But it is wild that they're even doing this in the first place. Palantir up about 1% after hours. You got Zoom up about 1%. Tesla again down about 0.65% right here. Where is NVIDIA? SoFi 1570. NVIDIA after hours is up a little bit, but it was down about 4% on the day. All right, so that's what we got on Tesla. For those that are wondering why Tesla's down, it seems like because of this. I don't think there's any other reason outside of that, but that's what you got on Tesla. 338 down about 0.5% currently right now. Okay, some other headlines and what we're looking at after the bell. Let me see if I can pull this up real quick. Oh yeah, so here's the quick Palantir thing in regards to Mariana. I'm getting the full report, but this is what Mariana said. On May 28th, 1940, President Roosevelt called on Bill Nusden, I'm definitely saying that wrong, but Nusden, to help build the arsenal required to win World War II. By the end of the war, the U.S. produced aircrafts at 100x the 1939 rate. Nusden's influence improved government procurement and welcomed new entrants to the military market. We see Palantir Technologies and CEO Alex Karp leading the modern Nuzden movement. Palantir has demonstrated their ability to digitize enterprises and battle spaces from finances to missile production. In a world where efficiency, innovation, safety, and speed are the most valuable assets, we see Palantir as the enabler and winner in this new era, raising the next 3-year government growth target to 29% from 24%. That is another reason I think the street's buying up Palantir, even though the valuation is up there, because they believe that the government growth is coming. You got Trump meeting with all these people that are connected to Palantir, obviously JD Vance. We talked about that a lot. The title of the report, The Nuzden X Cart Moment, War-Winning Software. If you believe that government growth is going to keep compounding for Palantir, and again, Mariana is a defense tech analyst more than she is a software analyst, that is one of your arguments for why Palantir can continue to get some momentum. So that's what we had on Palantir throughout the day. Again, Palantir up about 1% after hours. Lockheed Martin still down about 3.75% on the day. Zoom right here slightly up about 30 bips. Tesla up 0.65% currently right now. Let me take a look at this. Yeah, here we go. Let's get a little bit of update on this right here. Let's see if I can pull this up. John says the narrative on Palantir is flipping. I agree. I mean, that narrative, dude, when it was $6, it was a crazy narrative, but the narrative definitely has changed. Okay, so some crypto updates. So Trump owns 5.4 million of crypto. So we got Trump's official crypto holdings by Arkham Intelligence, which is like the best website to aggregate all this data. I don't think Trump actually owns this stuff. I think his son is managing the stuff. He doesn't have any Bitcoin. He has Trump coin, which is like a meme coin. He has a bunch of ETH. And then he has USDC, and then he has a couple other meme coins. I don't think this is Trump buying this stuff. I do think someone's probably controlling his wallet, probably his son or someone that is close to him. But you got Trump that does own 5.4 million of crypto. The reason I'm bringing this up is because at the end of the day, if the president of the United States owns crypto and he's on this thesis, it's just kind of hard to imagine that this thesis doesn't play out necessarily as strongly as it can when you got a regulatory framework supporting digital assets. Arkham Intelligence is the website. Arkham Intelligence is the website you want to look at to understand this. NVIDIA is down today because there was an article by Bloomberg saying that Amazon is coming to potentially take their lunch in terms of getting better chips. And the other reason it's down is because I think there's some money transitioning into software names, and software business models are really good. Reoccurring subscriptions, don't have to worry about too much geopolitical stuff, don't have to worry too much about tariffs, don't have to worry about gross margins because they're always 80 to 90% versus low 70%. I think that is an argument for why you have NVIDIA getting some love, but I could be wrong on that. It could just be technically NVIDIA's selling off a little bit. Okay, let's get one more update on Tesla, then we'll move on to Bitcoin and see a little bit of that. And then I have a couple other headlines that we want to run through. Let's see if the CNBC talked about that Tesla news about the EV credit. I don't think they had the news at the time, but let's see if they are talking about it.
Reiterated sell at UBS. The target, though, goes to 226 from 197. Bryn, I'll give that one to you. I mean, you talk about making gutsy calls right now. Good luck with this one. What do you think?
Well, I think especially the reiterated sell. So they already had a sell on the name. Yeah. I think with these kind of companies, that with Tesla is still a growth company. Obviously, you have the Musk effect, this halo effect, which is hypercharged now that he's shoulder to shoulder with Trump, right? And so I think that you definitely have, I would call them animal spirits at this level. I do think going into next year, everything's always delayed. We know. I don't think I have a Tesla. We are not close to me not driving my car and letting my car drive itself and feeling confident around that. So I think the analyst overall, I get what they're saying. I think this is a great time with the name. You can sell some calls. There's massive call premium. I do think the stock is ahead of itself, but you know that's the price of admission. It can go lower than I think it should go, and right now I do think it's a little bit higher than it should be. But I think long term, between Optimus, between energy storage, full self-driving will come at some point, which are all new revenue drivers. I think shorting the stock or being reiterating sell, it's probably going to be a losing proposition.
Yeah, Josh, I just would love your take here, if in fact you even have one.
I don't understand what the stock trades on other than the vibes around like whatever Elon's working on. There's no fundamental thing that I could say to you is going to matter to the stock. Something could get posted on Twitter and completely change everyone's thought process on it. So I'm not involved, and I don't have any real edge on the next 10% in the name. So it's something very far away from what I do.
Joe, I mean, you had it.
So I love Josh Brown, but I do disagree with him. I think it's more than vibes that's moving Tesla. I think there is something a lot bigger. And what I mean by that is robots. I really do think 2025 is going to be a year where robots become more important. But I also think the autonomy story is becoming more important with the deregulation because of the relationship with Trump. So look, it's fair to not want to touch Tesla at these levels. It's run up a lot. It's not the same risk reward that it was at 150 or even 250. But I think there's a better argument to be bullish on Tesla over the next couple of years. Thomas says Josh isn't using his imagination. Yeah, Josh is very selective with his imagination. He uses them on certain names, on other names he doesn't use them on. Okay, take a look at this chart right here. Let's go through some macro charts. So leveraged ETFs that are single stock ETFs, so like NVDL, TSLL, you guys know these 2-3x levered ETFs. We had someone on the show talk about them a month ago. They've received $84 billion of inflows in 2024. It is the highest, they've seen a record 84 billion in volume last week. Volumes have doubled in just over 2 months. The exact inflows are probably even more than 84 billion or potentially less than 84 billion, but the volume of amount that they've been trading at is just incredible. So you have MSTU, MSTX, the short ones as well, MSTUZ. Like there's a lot of these arguments for leverage ETFs that are getting momentum. Now, what does this mean for the broader market? To me, what this means is people are getting even riskier than before. And because they are getting riskier than before, you just have more excitement in the broader markets. Either that goes good for equities or that goes bad. And I think time will tell. Right now, I think we're still waiting on a rate cut and for inflation data to kind of justify if this makes sense. But as we talked about valuation at the beginning of the show, to expand multiples, we need to have more earnings growth. And the only way to have that earnings growth is for companies to execute. Also, earnings assumptions have gone down. So in October 1st, the earnings assumptions for 2025 on aggregate for the S&P were 12%. As of today, it's 9%. So you have a 3% reduction in what the market thinks we're going to have in regards to earnings growth going into 2025, which is actually kind of good because it lowers expectations. But it also means that if you're not going to grow that much, should we pay up that much of a premium? And I think that's the broader question that people are considering right now. Here's Barclays. They raised their S&P target. Here's how they're justifying the S&P going higher into 2025.
Head of U.S. Equity Strategy. Venu, great to have you back. Welcome.
Thank you, Wes. Thank you for having me back.
24 times 271. We're just a shade south of consensus. Is 24 times, is that challenging or not?
It is full. But if you look at the underlying components of it, I think it's reasonable. We take a sum of the parts approach. Big tech, which is a big component, is we use 31 times, which is close to where it's trading right now, around 30, 31. And that sector or that group of stocks continues to surprise to the upside in a meaningful manner. And for the rest of S&P, we're closer to the 20s where it's trading. That you can argue is a tad rich, but not significantly so. So I think if you look at the direction of where we're going, we do expect earnings to grow almost 12% next year. So in that context, I think we're quite comfortable with those assumptions.
Most of these firms are putting a 10 to 11% premium on the S&P 500 going into 2025, which would put you roundabout from these levels at 66 to 6,700. Which means the question becomes, do we have a blow off top where earnings growth is so incredible? NVIDIA, Palantir, Amazon, all these companies just like don't stop showing the growth. And we head to 7,000, which is like the major bull case from JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs. Actually like 72, 7,400 is their major bull case. Or do we have a year where the comps get so hard? NVIDIA is compared to last year's numbers, and last year's numbers, which in this case is 2024, are going to be so good that it's going to be difficult to justify expanding the multiple, which is kind of what I think we're seeing on NVIDIA right now. That's why it's down 3%. Like it's really hard to continue expanding this multiple if you think the growth is not going to continue when it's already trading at 47 times earnings. Now, granted, that's cheap if you believe the numbers will continue to get to a $5 EPS target by 2025, but then you're just taking the risk on if that's going to happen. And I think the market right now, at least this week and last week, are saying that we just don't feel like taking that risk currently right now, and they're broadening into different sectors, which is healthy, but it might mean that some of our favorite names necessarily don't get the best premium going into the future. Bitcoin right here at 94,000, Meta at 565, Palantir up about 0.65%, $65 after hours. MicroStrategy as well had a volatile day, down about 4%. Now it's up 1%, 0.82% in the after hours. It was at like 440 in the pre-market, so it took a nice little hit, but still holding about 400, which is not too bad. Grab, I did buy some more Grab today, about like 50 more shares of Grab right here at 514. I think I got in at like 507. This one's up about 1.38% on the day. Dell at 144. That one took it on the chin, a little bit down. Pinterest was up a little bit, and then Reddit was down 3%, although they got upgraded to 160 by UBS with the argument that they know Reddit's expensive, but they believe their ad growth is going to be good and continue to show profitability. Okay, so this other name, KULR, this thing, I know this one was going crazy in the morning. It's up 77%. Again, it's a penny stock. I know a lot of people like the penny stocks. I just don't chase the penny stocks. I'm just not into it. But they announced some deals this morning, and that's why they went up. Correct me if I'm wrong. This is a space play, if I'm not wrong. KULR, I believe it's a space play. And I think that is what's getting it a little bit more momentum. Do you have that aggregate data on margins and not just profits? Not on margins. I'll try to get the data on margins, but the street's definitely looking for 9% EPS growth. I'll try to get the margin growth. I would imagine they're looking for at least 5% increase in margins, at least for the big names. Maybe 3 to 5%. That's reasonable. But I would imagine they want growth for margins as well. It's cooling technology. Oh, it's battery stuff. Interesting. Okay. Well, it is a $150 million market cap, and it's one of those things that is definitely very risky if anyone gets into this. I don't know anything about this company. I saw it being tossed around today on Twitter, but again, dude, we're also in the part of the cycle in just the broader investing season where names like these will go up 80% in a day because there's so much money that's starting to chase. Not 2021 levels of money yet, but there's a lot of money there. And if this thing goes like $4 or $5 or something, then I think we have a lot of money coming in. So, we'll see over the next couple of days. What tends to happen is this thing will tend to dump over the next couple of days. Now, maybe it doesn't dump on this news, but we got to see how much money's out there. Because no institutions can buy this company. Like, you can't buy a $169 million stock, right? A lot of this is going to be led by retail, at least not at the highest of levels. So over the next few weeks, I think we're going to get to see kind of what happens with this one. Also, where's Enovix? This one we haven't talked about in a while. Enovix right here, 953. They're up 1%. ASTS today was up a little bit. And then Rocket Lab had a good day. Rocket Lab right here, 2406, up 3.44%. Did hit 27 in the pre-markets. Currently at 24. We saw Zoom earnings. They beat on the top and the bottom line, but the street doesn't care too much. Let me see if I can get some coverage real quick on Zoom just to see what their numbers look like. And then we'll go from there. Yeah, here we go. Here are Zoom numbers.
Top and bottom line with adjusted EPS of $1.38. That's higher than estimates of $1.31. Revenues of $1.8 billion, just a hair ahead of expectations of $1.16 billion. The company's revenues, enterprise customer revenues ahead of estimates, and an operating margin of 38.9%, also ahead of estimates. Now, in terms of Q4 guidance, the company's adjusted because what I just reported was the Q3 fiscal Q3. In terms of Q4 guidance, the company guiding to EPS in a range of $1.29 to $1.30. That's just ahead of the $1.29 estimate, and revenues of $1.18 billion versus the $1.17 billion estimated. Now, in terms of a couple other details here, the company did increase its common stock repurchase authorization by an additional $1.2 billion. They have an approximately $2 billion left in stock to be repurchased. They're also renaming the company, going from Zoom Video Communications. Now they're just going to be called Zoom Communications. Shares are up fractionally. Back over to you.
Quite a turnaround from the lows, Julia.
They changed their name from Zoom Video to Zoom Communications. All right. Well, that's what you got for Zoom. Where's Zoom right now after hours? Zoom is down 4%. The street does not like the name change, it seems. HIMS up 23%. Again, HIMS, great day. Robinhood right here, 37.85, up 3.2%. And then you got Rocket Lab at 24.15, Meta 565, Bitcoin at 94,000. All right, so let's do a gut check from what people say in the chat. Bitcoin under 90,000 by Thanksgiving or above 95 by Thanksgiving? So we're not even thinking of 100. Under 90 or above 95. That's the range. What do people think? Thanksgiving, you're going to have a lot of people leave their computers, might not be glued to their phone. You're You're gonna have people, you know, with family. Maybe that incentivizes people to buy Bitcoin. Maybe that just means there's less liquidity. I don't think it's 100 by Thanksgiving. I don't think it's 100 in the next couple of days. I will gladly eat my words if I'm wrong about that, but I kind of think 100. I think Sailor's right. I think New Year's Eve. I think, or like around that New Year's time. I think that's when you start to really see the chances for it to get to 100. But it's so close right now. Everyone just thinks it's, you know, going to happen, including myself. But it might, you know, it might take a little bit more time before it plays out. A lot of you are saying above 95. Okay, so a decent amount of people saying above 95. We got some 120s right here in the chat. XRP, I don't own it. I think it's a cool idea. I don't own it. I don't know. I personally, a lot of the altcoins, they're not that interesting to me outside of just pure Bitcoin. So yeah, I think it's a good trading thing, but to own it long-term, XRP, I think it can do well. We talked about it on Friday for the market close, but I'm not excited to actually have a position in XRP. LOL, admit you're too funny if you think people won't be glued to their phones. It's 2024. Well, like what, on Thanksgiving, are you guys glued to your phones or are you spending time with family? Like, what do you guys think? Or what do you guys personally do? I agree with you. People will definitely be glued to their phones. I'm just thinking, do we have some level of humanity left in 2025 where 2024, where during Thanksgiving, we don't look at our phones? I'm going to be saying this as I look at my phone during Thanksgiving. I'm probably going to be streaming and keep you guys on your phone during Thanksgiving. It's hard to get rid of the phone, bro. Like, you guys know me with my phone. I'm with my phone 24/7. It's just hard to, like, I get anxiety when I don't have my phone near me, bro. Amit, if you remain bullish into 2025, why do you plan on selling some of your positions in January? So I am not selling any stock. I'm selling options that are expiring soon. So no stock is being sold by myself. There's no stock I want to sell. Palantir or Robinhood, don't want to sell anything. But the options I'm going to have to sell. So the question is the redeployment of that capital in January. Is that going to happen, or do I want to wait a month or two, kind of see what 2025 is looking like? That I'm not fully sure of yet. I think it'll take a couple months to kind of figure it out, or maybe a couple weeks, just based on what we see in the beginning of 2025. Football. Okay, yes, that's football. Definitely, that'll be something to keep people occupied. With my family on the phone, that's fair. I mean, Thanksgiving for me is like we sit together, we eat food, and then I don't know. I guess we watch a movie sometimes. We kind of just, it's like I have a very small family, right? Only 4 people. So I don't have the big 30 people come into the house and everyone's talking and all that stuff. I've really never had that. So that's why I guess I'm like still on my phone during that time. But hopefully not literally during dinner. Suvrana, thank you for the comment. I might be saying your name wrong. I'm sorry. Hi, Amit. Love your content. You make complex topics so easy to grasp. What's one underrated habit or mindset shift that's been a total game changer for you personally or professionally? I like this question. If anyone has a answers to this, you can put it in the chat as well. You know, to me, it's, and this is going to sound a little bit hustle pornish, but I don't care. It's working so hard that when you're taking a moment off from working, you have so much anxiety that you wake your ass up and you start working hard again. And that's a little bit extreme, but you asked for what was a game changer this year. That was the game changer, which is that you have to get into such a zone in whatever you're trying to pursue, which for me is content, media, etc., that on the moments when you are not working, you should feel a level of anxiety that is so gut-wrenching that you go back to work. And I don't mean that literally as in like, yes, like on Saturdays, I take some time off, right? I chill. But I do mean like if I'm not doing anything and I have an extra hour and I could be doing something, there is a real pit in my stomach if I'm not doing something that I should be doing to advance professionally, which in this case for me is content, right? And that's been the game changer this year. Maybe that's going to change when I get a family, kids, all that stuff, right? But at this age, that's like, you just got to fucking work. Bro is late every day, but's talking about working hard. Okay, but like being late is different. It's not about that's I don't know how to respond to that. You're right. I am late every day. But I'm late every day getting everything together. I'm not waking up at 8:43 and then getting onto the show at 8:45 or 8:46, right? That's not happening. What's happening is I'm adjusting the cameras, the lights. I'm like, there's like random stuff that's happening. I'm making sure I use the bathroom before I get into the show because I don't want to use, like, obviously I can't leave during the show. So that's why I'm late. Not because I wake up late. Although that has happened sometimes. I wake up at like 8:42 and I'm like, holy shit, I gotta get, but that's usually after Like, I think that happened on the election day, but I was streaming late that night. So usually if I stay up really late doing content, I wake up late, which ends up making the morning open late. But the point is the grind. The grind. That is what matters. Okay, cool. So that's what we got right here in the context of some of these stocks moving after hours. Here's another clip on Bitcoin. I want to talk a little bit about that. Intel, and then I want to talk about Palantir. Palantir got Arnie got quote tweeted by someone really big in Palantir. So we'll talk about that in a second. But here's a little update on Bitcoin that Saylor reposted, and then we'll keep going from there.
And the swagger is there. And one thing we know, swagger is critically important to success. So I said animal spirits were at stake during this election. You remember I had the town hall and other things. And right now I can honestly say that nowhere is it more critical than with our young adults. And speaking of animal spirits, my next guest is perhaps my favorite Gen Z influencer, Natalie Brunell. Natalie, I want to get your thoughts on this. Has the media portrayed Gen Z incorrectly?
Well, that's so nice of you, Charles. I'm actually a millennial, but I do think very highly of Gen Z.
Wow.
I actually used to be an adjunct professor at USC for a year, so I had many Gen Zers as students, and I agree. I think they're full of...
I like Natalie. I like her. She's cool. I like how she talks. I like Natalie.
Energy and optimism, because they want to shake up the old system. In many ways, it really has left them behind and forced them to go into debt. And I think they want to build a future that's more inclusive and empowering. And you know what that reminds me of, Charles? Bitcoin, of course. I think both stand for many of the same values. And I actually did a whole episode on Gen Z and Bitcoin on my podcast with an inspiring young woman named Ella Huff. She's a senior at Cornell. And from what I've seen, I think Gen Z is going to rewrite the playbook on success. They're going to help take Bitcoin mainstream. And I think they will reshape the financial world for the better. And we all stand to benefit from that.
So Bitcoin...
And what matters here, guys, is if we're thinking about Robinhood and Coinbase and these new platforms that are going to inherit a lot of wealth over the next 20 years, if these types of people care about crypto, Bitcoin, alternative assets, then it would behoove a lot of these platforms to cater to those people, because that's where all the wealth ultimately is going to.
We came within shadow of 100,000, getting a little consolidation. There's some folks out there saying, hey, maybe there'll be a 20% pullback because of some folks got too over leveraged. On the other hand, though, that's short term. Long term, Michael Saylor's out there saying, hey, 13 million is your target for Bitcoin. How do folks navigate the two?
Well, that's his base case, Charles. His bull case is 49 million in today's dollars. And for those who think that's outlandish, I mean, well, what is the total addressable market for perfect money or perfect capital? And what percentage do you think that Bitcoin could actually capture of global assets? I mean, I would say that 200 trillion is actually very reasonable over the coming decades. But honestly, I mean, people talk about price. Charles, the money is great, but the mission is even greater. I don't know anyone who bought shares of Apple or NVDA or even some beautiful beachfront property and said, wow, I feel like I have a sense of purpose now. But I know thousands of people who feel that way after buying just a small amount of Bitcoin. They feel empowered. They want to help others. They want to give back, and they feel a sense of purpose. And I tweeted about this today, so shout out to Max Kaiser. But that's what this is about. It's about something bigger than ourselves. Hope is the most powerful motivating force, and Bitcoin brings out the hope. It brings out the best in us. So yeah, the money's great, but this is about building a better future for every generation, and that's worth more than any price target.
Hey, 20 seconds. The Trump administration's got a lot of things they want to do. What's the first thing you'd like to see them get through for Bitcoin?
The U.S. Strategic Bitcoin Reserve. Let's get ahead of all the other countries, and let's get Bitcoin to 1 million.
All right. Hey, let's do it. Golly, so
I like Natalie. I like her. I like her arguments. They are very sophisticated, in my opinion, and I think she's making an argument. Now, look, this Bitcoin is going to 48 million. I don't know if that's happening, but it's a good thought experiment. What is the total addressable market for perfect money? Now, granted, people would disagree that it's not perfect money, but if you agree that it is, I mean, you kind of think the market cap is unlimited for Bitcoin. Cool. That's an argument. It's not a it's not a bad argument by Natalie right there. All right, so let's look at what Arnie got retweeted today by someone from Palantir. This one was really, really important. So in the morning, we talked about Palantir and the NHS and how they're working together and delivering results. Louis Mosley, who I had the pleasure of meeting at AIPCon, he is giving us even more details of what Palantir is doing in the NHS. And this is the guy who leads Palantir's UK business. And he fought really hard to get the NHS. I mean, I remember when I sat down with him, I'm like, so how hard was it to get this deal? And he was just like, he had a big sigh. He was like, you don't even want to know, because like it was so hard to fight the FUD in the UK about Palantir, but they ultimately got it done. So he said, NCIC NHS, where Palantir Tech is saving theater planners over 3 hours per week and allowing the trust to perform over 10% more surgeries. That's good. Croydon Health, where same-day cancellations by patients have fallen by 38%, and the trust has seen a 12% increase in theater utilization. Chelsea Westminster, where waiting times for urgent suspected cancer case referrals reduced up to 4 days. UHD, where the software has created the capacity for an additional 2,500 surgical treatments per year. And then he says many more examples. NHS staff are heroes. It's a huge privilege at Palantir to see our software being used to help them treat even more patients safely and efficiently. The point is, we are delivering actual results. Now, does that justify a $150 billion market cap? This one example, probably not. But what it does justify is this argument by Dan and Mariana that there's no one doing what Palantir is doing on the commercial side, on the government side, and delivering the types of use cases where actual hospitals in the UK are reducing backlogs and wait times for their patients, which is, the biggest problem that the UK has had for a long time that they've been trying to solve. I know a lot of you guys that are from the UK, you still think, the NHS is not that good. In your words, a lot of you guys have said the NHS sucks. And I think it's going to be a process over time. But if we can even imagine in a decade, I mean, most people have agreed that the NHS has been broken for the past 30 years and that they've spent over $30 billion on IT solutions that have not been effective. If by 2030 or by 2035, Palantir is the de facto operating system for the NHS, and it's actually working, and we got the deal September 2023, so we're basically a year later, some pretty good results in a year. In 10 years, I mean, what is the TAM for that in regards to Palantir then branching out to Canada and Brazil and all these other, Sweden, all these other socialized healthcare systems that ultimately need technology? I think that can be an argument for Palantir to win, and it seems like this NHS is another argument, or is another use case or case study for the use cases of Palantir being effective. So that's what we got in the context of Palantir. Thomas says, everyone thinks their own country stuff is broken. People just like to complain. So I agree with that, but I mean, I know a decent amount of you guys from the UK, you genuinely do not like the NHS. I mean, you appreciate the NHS, but you don't like let's just ask in the chat right now, how many people are from the UK and how many people enjoy the process of scheduling and using the NHS? I'm just curious what people think. Because from my understanding, a lot of people, and even in my DMs, people have reached out after Palantir got the deal and they were so happy. And there were people crying, just finally the NHS did something. But, there might be some people that think the opposite way. Blonde Beard says, love the NHS, but it's broken. DP from the UK, I hate it. Carrie says it's better than dying. Oh, that's true. It's better than dying. Mike says NHS is fine given its limitations. Benam says, I'm from the UK and it's useless for younger people. Samarth, love it, but it needs a change. Harmsy from the UK, I think NHS is great considering it is free. There's a lot of waste though, like some dumb head of DEI with an over 6-figure salary. Howard says the problem is we are living too long. It seems like a decent amount of people are not fans of NHS. NHS for emergencies, private for anything else if you can afford it. John says, I'm British. If you're lower class, NHS is good. In the US, if you're lower class, healthcare is challenging, in my opinion. Yeah, I mean, there's no question about that. If you're lower class in the United States compared to the UK, healthcare is much more affordable, obviously, and it has a better chance of providing proper care. But then it just begs the question of efficiency. And I think software is the missing link to make a socialized system a bit more efficient if you're going to take out the free market from it. So that's what we got in the context of Palantir. I will have a deeper video going into all this stuff. I'll be talking about the Palantir price targets later today as well. And if that video doesn't come out today, it'll come out tomorrow. I think it should come out today. I'm just waiting to get this Bank of America report because I want to read through the whole thing. But we will have a video soon on the price targets by Dan Ives, Mariana, and this Palantir NHS stuff. Let's see what else we got going on. In terms of the sentiment I got from the community today for Palantir, a decent amount of people were excited about it. There were some people. So I mean, let's see if he picks up. Let's get his thoughts. I did get to call Steve after the market open, and well, let's just say he wasn't the most excited about this price target. Let's see if he picks up. He can tell everyone what he thinks. But yeah, outside of Steve, I mean, most people thought that it made sense, but I think people still agree the valuation is getting up there and the growth needs to get there to justify it. Okay, Steve can't pick up. Bitcoin below 94,000. All right, Bitcoin is coming down. Bitcoin now below 94. Okay, that shouldn't be good for MicroStrategy, which is at 396. After hours Marathon, which is down 2%. After hours, there we go. A little bit of volatility here on Bitcoin. We got to see, can we hold up to this 95,000 level, dropping below 94? First time we've seen this in basically over a week. I'm sorry if I said any of the NHS trust names wrong. I mean, you guys know me at this point. If I say something wrong, it's just, it is what it is. I could barely say American words correctly, so I can't imagine the UK words I'd be that good at. Robinhood right here after hours is at 37.59, down about 0.69%. Rocket Lab right here, up 0.52% currently right now. Yeah, we got to hold the 90s, bro. We can't go back into the 80s going into Thanksgiving. That would suck. That would not be a fun Thanksgiving. I think a lot of people would be a little upset. Like, imagine the difference on Thanksgiving if Bitcoin's at like 97, 98,000 versus 84,000. Like, dude, the amount of people that are going to walk into their family's house with the arrogance and cockiness of knowing that they're sitting on Bitcoin close to 100,000 versus the people that are going to be walking in knowing that Bitcoin's on a downtrend. It's going to change the vibes, the mood, the way people like talk during, like, dude, remember when Robinhood fell 20% after earnings? I don't want to talk to nobody, bro. I don't want to go downstairs. I didn't want to have a I was like, if Thanksgiving was the next day, I would be eating food in silence, bro. Because like that hurt. That 20% drawdown hurt. Now I still bought the stupid dip because that's what you do. But like, it wouldn't have been a fun Thanksgiving. And you want Thanksgiving to be fun. So I think we need Bitcoin getting closer to 100,000. These are the final days where you can still stack stats under 100K. Maybe it is possible. Maybe that is the case. Amit's whole fan base wants an Amit meetup from London to LA. Yeah, no, we're definitely doing the meetups, guys. I'm working out the like logistics of it. I will give more details soon. I think Boston will be the first one in January. Good old Massachusetts that we're coming to. So definitely the meetups are happening in 2025. Boston will probably be the first one in January. And then February, we'll see what's next. We're definitely going to do LA. That's for sure. Boston will be one. Probably not Dubai. I don't think we're not, maybe in the summer, potentially, if we like make a trip out of it, but I don't think we're going to do a meetup for Dubai. The goal of the meetups is to come for a weekend. I pull up like Thursday night. I stay there till Sunday afternoon. And then Friday, Saturday, I'll be at some public space, whether it's like an open restaurant or like in New York, it would be Central Park or something, right? In Boston, I think like in Cambridge, there's like a town square or something there near Harvard. So, and then people just come and show up. Also, I'm going to have a gift for everybody that shows up. I'm going to have a small gift. So anyone who shows up, no matter who you are, if you show up to the meetup, you will get a small gift from me. I'm ordering like a bunch of them right now. So you guys will be in for a little bit of a gift if you come through. We'll do Bay Area as well. We'll do California. We're going to do LA and the Bay. I've been to the Bay Area so many times, bro. So I would love to go to actually meet you guys because I've been there so many times. I actually know a decent amount about Palo Alto, San Francisco. Like I actually can talk about those areas because I've just been there so many times. I remember the first time I went to California was 2016. It was for a debate tournament. It was in Berkeley, and dude, it was like a dream. Just driving down, seeing those mountains, like it was so beautiful. So California, very, very special place. It's not Motel 6 hats. I think some of you guys will guess the gift already. You guys will be able to figure out what it is, but I think you guys will like it. Yes, we will do Toronto. We will definitely do Toronto. We got to do Canada. We will do Canada. You know, I've never been to Toronto. I've only been to Montreal, so I actually want to go to Toronto. I feel like I've got to visit because we talk so much about it. All right. Any other headlines after the bell? I don't think so. I'll be on for like another 5-10 minutes and I'll just talk to the chat, see any questions you guys have. But for the market close, that is pretty much it. One other real quick headline right here. I don't know what to make of this. You guys can just keep this in your mind and I'll try to get some updates tomorrow. But Japan and China are selling a crap ton of U.S. Treasuries. So China jumped 51 billion over the past couple months of U.S. Treasuries. Japan sold 61 billion. Now, maybe that's because they're taking this money and they're reinvesting it into stimulus internally. But we did see a decent sell-off. I mean, this kind of explains when the 10-year was spiking a little bit in September from Japan and China. Now, this is as of September 30th, so they might have bought back some of those treasuries since then if the price ended up coming lower. But this is one thing I'll be doing some research on. Where did the 10-year end for the day? The 10-year ended for the day. Look at that, 4.275. I mean, you can't ask for that much of a better situation. Money market funds are now showing outflows. You still have over 6 trillion. Looks like we're going to get a rate cut. Inflation is tame. Hopefully it doesn't accelerate. Equity markets are seeing a premium on earnings growth. And then you got the 10-year not trying to hit 4.5 like it was last week. Again, last week it was on the weekly. We peaked at 4.43. So basically 4.5. We were trying to get into that. We hit 4.45. So if you round up 4.5. So it's really nice to see it at 4.275. And hopefully that will be good for equities long term as well. All right, that's it for the market close. All right, what are you guys saying? Amid, it's pronounced Toronto. No, it's not. It's Toronto. There's a O. Toronto. Do you guys just say Toronto? The Toronto accent is actually really, really interesting. It's like I don't even know how to describe the Toronto accent. I know you guys say Crody. That's like your homeboy, right? You're Crody. I know some of the terminology. Oh, all of you guys are saying it's Toronto. Okay, well, there you go. I said that one wrong again. You will find any word in a specific location. I somehow will find a way to say it wrong. Like, look, what am I supposed to, what is this? Montreal in Fracois, oui? I know OUI is oui. I know that. At least I didn't say OUE. Could you imagine if I said OUE? You know why I know it's oui? It's because there's a rapper who made a song called OUI, but he kept saying we. I forgot the guy's name, bro. Fuck. Jeremiah, I think is the rapper. You guys know that song, right? We. That's how I know it's we. Otherwise, I wouldn't know that, bro. It's actually Toronto. You don't pronounce the last T. All right, now you guys are fucking with me. I'm calling it Toronto. Okay, I think that's normal. Toronto. But I imagine there's a lot of other variations of it. Toronto. Yeah, I'm gonna see. I'm gonna see how people pronounce it. Amid versus a New Orleans accent would be very interesting, dude. We got to do New Orleans too. I went there this year in April. I had a good time, so I definitely want to get back to New Orleans. That would be pretty fun. Is the gift a physical share of Palantir? It's not. Unfortunately, I cannot give you guys at that point an $80 share. Hopefully, February. We'll see what happens. No, it's not gonna be a physical share of Palantir, but it'll be a good gift. Then you guys will enjoy it. I got the idea a couple days ago. I was like, yo, I feel like this would be a good thing, just because I appreciate anyone who comes out and wants to visit, so I want to give you guys a little memento. I think you guys I don't want to say it, but you guys are gonna figure it out. You guys are gonna figure out what it is. But it's pretty cool. Here's what I'll say: you can use it every day. That's what the gift is. No, it's not merch. It's not caps. It's not a hat. It's not. I was thinking of Palantir hats, but I think this idea is better. I was thinking of Palantir merch, but I think this is way better. So it's not anything you can wear. I promise. It's nothing you can wear, but it's something you can use. He's all gonna give us a fucking brick. That would be fun. Could you imagine me just carrying a fucking suitcase of bricks to the meetup spot? It's not Grindr subscriptions. Goodness, bro. I don't care what you guys say about Grindr. I'm up 8%. I'm up $1,500 on Grindr. So I don't care, baby. Grindr is a monopoly. I still haven't published the DD. Dude, I got busy this week and I wasn't able to type up everything I wanted to type up. I will publish it this week. Or I'll do I don't know, we'll find a way. Either I'm going to do a one-pager on it or something. I just have to write it out. I just have not had the time to write it out. But I will publish it soon. A hand-signed Amit photo in his PJs. You know how narcissistic it would be for me to hand out a picture of myself with my signature on it? That would be pretty damn narcissistic. Now, granted, given where life takes us, maybe that signature is worth something one day. Maybe it's actually going to be worth something. But I would never give you guys a picture of myself with my signature. But now that you mention it, actually sounds kind of funny. It just was like a joke. No, I'm not going to do that. But I think you guys will like it. It'll be a good gift. I think you guys will enjoy it. It'll be a literal hay in the needle stack. Yes, exactly. Exactly. That will happen. Bitcoin is 93,800. Bitcoin's still tanking. Damn it, bro. I really don't want to see a Thanksgiving with Bitcoin tanking. That's not going to be fun. It's not going to be fun, especially if you own MSTR or any of these big names against Bitcoin. It wouldn't be fun. Why did you choose Fidelity instead of Robinhood for retirement? So I choose Schwab, not Fidelity, but it's because Robinhood doesn't allow you to open a solo 401k. As soon as Robinhood allows that, I'm transferring into Robinhood. But they don't yet. And so on Schwab, I'm managing my solo 401k. I hate it. I hate it so much. I can't explain. The only good thing about them is that they picked up as soon as I called. So there's good support. That I will give them 100% better than Robinhood. Their support is night and day. But the platform is just disgusting, bro. Like, it literally was disgusting. Like, I couldn't even believe this was like a real thing that people use every day. I don't know. I was just like, what is this, bro? Like I couldn't even find where the buy button was to buy a stock. Like, now I get it why people put stuff in Schwab and they don't look at it, because it's like, you don't want to look at it. Like, you know the money's there, it's safe because it's Schwab, and you move on. But otherwise, it was really hard to actually use it. Okay, a bunch of you guys have guessed it in the chat, but I'm not going to say yes or no. You guys have definitely guessed the gift. I'm not going to confirm yes or no, but I think a bunch of you have guessed the gift. You guys will enjoy it. You guys probably already know what it is. Any news on Hood going international? Would love to open an account from Jamaica. Currently have Schwab. Yeah, unfortunately, they're not going international anytime soon because of the financial regulations they have to deal with. Vlad told us to Tanner at the event that Canada's not on the table. Canada's not on the docket because every province has a different financial regulation that they have to comply with. And, Robinhood can't meet all those regulations. So I don't think it's coming to Canada. I don't think it's coming to Jamaica. I think if they were going to go to another place, they would have to pick a place where they think it's easy to actually get it done. And the UK was the easiest out of every place. And they're not even big in the UK. Like, Robinhood's non-existent in the UK, quite frankly. So they've got a lot of work to do to even succeed in the UK. But international expansion, I think, is going to take some time. But eventually, next 10 years, I think they're going to start to go. I think they need to go to India, quite frankly, because India has the biggest amount of retail trading that I've seen anywhere. MicroStrategy, by the way, $3.94 after hours. But again, Indian laws are going to be hard to comply with. So it's one of those things that definitely takes more time to get there. They're in the UK, correct? They're in the UK. See, no one even knows about it, dude. Now, to their credit, they haven't really done marketing in the UK, but it's been a year. Like, what do you mean you haven't done marketing in a year? I think, quite frankly, they were like, hey, we're seeing so much success in the US. Why are we wasting our time in the UK? That doesn't mean they're not going to prioritize the UK because they've started introducing stock lending and margin and all this stuff. But it's not a money printer for them yet. And I think they have to figure out in 2025, do we want the UK to do we want to really compete in the UK? And if they say no, then I'd rather them scrap that and move on. But if they say yes, then we have to see some real resources allocated to it. Because as of now, they really haven't put in the work to try to win in the UK. Oh, Twitter. Oh, thank you, Andy, for this comment. So Twitter is offering 40% premium. You can gift everyone a blue check mark. Yeah, that's true. We can do blue check marks. Here's a video I wanted to show you guys that Elon posted. Curious about your guys' thoughts. So, Elon keeps saying you are the media now. He keeps tweeting this thing that you are the media now. Here is what the Axios CEO had to say about Elon's tweet, or Elon's sort of paradigmatic shift, telling the public that they are the media now.
Matters. Everything we do is under fire. Elon Musk sits on Twitter every day, or X today, saying like, we are the media, you are the media. My message to Elon Musk is bullshit. You're not the media. You having a blue check mark, a Twitter handle, and 300 words of cleverness doesn't make you a reporter any more than me looking at your head and seeing that you have a brain and telling you have an awesome set of tools makes me a damn neurosurgeon, right? Like what we do, what journalists do, what you did in Mississippi, what Al Jazeera does in the Middle East. You don't proclaim yourself to be a reporter. Like that's nonsense. Like being a reporter is hard, really hard. You have to care. You have to do the hard work. You have to get up every single day and say, I want to get to the closest approximation of the truth without any fear, without any favoritism. You don't do that by popping off on Twitter. You don't do that by having an opinion. You do it by doing the hard work.
Yeah, come on, slow clap, everybody. Whoa. First of all, I've got to say, extraordinary content. It needed to be said.
Yeah.
It continues to need to be said. When all of the garbage is flying around on social media, lying about reporters, lying about the hard work they do, lying about the hard work editors do, lying about everything up and down about not only their alternative set of facts, but alternative set of facts about what people like you do.
I have too many thoughts about this. I'm not going to get into a whole rant. I don't want to get into a whole rant. The only thing I will say is that Elon Musk saying "you are the media now" to me is one of the most beautiful sentences and powerful sentences that I have heard all year. And I think that's going to resonate as long as Twitter continues to be an open place for ideas. I think, just like I said in the morning, right? It's not up to Robinhood to say this coin belongs, but this coin doesn't belong. It's their job to provide the platform, and then individual people have to take responsibility. I think this guy, particularly the one quote that he said during his rant saying that you're not a reporter because reporters are cautiously and curiously and optimistically fighting for the truth. And I thought that was a very specific word of phrasing, right? Fighting for the truth. What does it mean to fight for the truth? Well, first of all, this guy is presupposing that truth is deterministically objective and that there's not other interpretations of what it means to understand truth. Now, is 2 + 2 4? Yes, 2 + 2 is not 5. But in the world of the media, where we're looking at so many different conflicting narratives, there is no one single truth many times because a lot of things are altered in different ways. And so I think you need a marketplace of ideas. You need different interpretations. Even if there is an objective truth, you need different subjective perspectives and opinions trying to understand what do we make sense of this truth for? Or how does this truth implicate different understandings of the world? And that's exactly what CNN does, MSNBC, Fox News. They all take stuff and they interpret it in their own way, and they have an audience and they deliver to that audience. That's exactly what people are doing on Twitter. That's exactly what people are doing on Twitter. On Twitter, I have a perspective on Palantir like I have had for the past 4 years. And when everyone was saying Palantir is shit and you have a real media complex in financial worlds, Financial Times, Wall Street Journal, Bloomberg, etc., publishing hit piece after hit piece on Palantir back in 2022, you have alternative media, myself, saying, hey, let's look at it this way. My ability to develop an audience and have a voice because of the platform being open and having the algorithmic discovery available that these guys hate, because the algorithmic discovery is literally destroying their business because no one gives a shit about turning on MSNBC if you can discover your new favorite content creator because the algorithm recommended it to you. That has given me a voice, that has given me the ability to have an influence, that has given me the ability to impose some influence via the media. And I take that responsibility very seriously. I say that every day, that I don't take it for granted. But nonetheless, I have the chance to create and get my ideas out there, which isn't that the promise of free speech, that you have the opportunity? Everyone doesn't have to listen to you, but if you work your ass off and try to build up your career, people might respect what you have to say. This guy is saying average people like me 4 years ago that was building up my Twitter account and my YouTube channel, we are not real reporters. We're not real journalists. We're not real people fighting for the truth, going through all the due diligence, trying to make sure it's accurate. And the part that's funny about me is that most of those people got everything wrong in this election cycle. All of them. Every single one of these media outlets that predicted that Kamala was running away with the election, they fundamentally ignored the perspectives of 76 million Americans that were just not tolerating what Kamala was bringing to the table. And, you know, the simplest example is when Trump said Liz Cheney should go out and fight a war if she wants to send your kids to war. And then the media says, oh, Trump says Liz Cheney should get shot. Again, just objectively speak, is that objective truth, right? The guy's talking about fighting for the truth. Is that truth? The byproduct of Liz Cheney going out to war is that she could get shot. But Trump is not saying Liz Cheney should get shot. He's just like, it's just false. He's not saying that. Now, has Trump said some questionable things in the past? Of course. No one is defending everything that Trump has said. But that regurgitation of the narrative into what the media wanted you to think, which is that Trump is advocating for someone to get shot, which in that scenario was unequivocally false. That is where I think the media lost a lot of trust. And what makes it so funny, I mean, Elon's response to this was hilarious. Elon was just like LMAO, because like, what do you do other than laugh at these guys? Like this Axios CEO thinks that he matters because Axios is some publication that people care about. Dude, Axios does not even get 1/100th of the traffic that Twitter gets. Why? Because Twitter actually has an amalgamated perspective of millions and honestly hundreds of millions of perspectives all at once. And it's a sort of free marketplace where the best idea wins in regards to the algorithm, which, by the way, the algorithm is not perfect, but the algorithm is the only level playing field. The only reason I'm here today, this is a rant, by the way, yes. This is what happens when you get me talking, bro. The only reason I'm here today, the only reason people show up to the morning open is because that algorithm gets people to find me. So, you know, YouTube has done questionable things. Twitter's done questionable things. But at the end of the day, that algorithm is the equalizer to me having an opportunity to have any level of influence. This Axios guy looks at the algorithm as taking away all of his traffic, which, yes, that is happening right now. And that is why he is so anti random Twitter people becoming journalists, because the prestige and eliteness of a journalist that is not defined by the algorithm, but is rather defined by the big corporate advertisers that are making Axios, CNN, Wall Street Journal all their money. That is what gives them the prestige. Like, the only reason a journalist can make 200,000 at the Wall Street Journal is because the ads that their articles are generating are 400,000. Right? So you take some of that and you give that to the journalist. And that comes with a level of prestige that, oh, I work at the Wall Street Journal and I talk about business. Like, motherfucker, I'm on Twitter. I talk about business too. What's so special about you? Really, what's so special? That you put some charts in your article and you got Pfizer to advertise against it? And I think more people are realizing, oh, that business model is dying because people don't trust those people. When you say Elon's on ketamine at 140, therefore Tesla's a sell, and Tesla's at almost 400, because it doesn't matter if he's on ketamine, because a real journalist would be like, huh, does Elon's sex life or drug life actually influence the stock? Oh no, it's actually about AI, robotics, and like gross margins. Oh, so but if they actually reported on that stuff, they wouldn't get clicks, and their business models are dying, and they need clicks, and they find any which way they can ferociously get clicks. And in order to do that, you have to manipulate, you have to lie, you have to have your own agenda. And look, I'm not saying people on Twitter aren't lying. I'm not saying there's not misinformation. I'm just saying let it be a free marketplace where everything can compete. And these guys don't want any of the competition. They want a uniform body of truth that is molded by the Morning Joes of the world. It's like, I just don't think that's a world we want to live in. I really don't think that's a world we want to live in. Amit said, who wants these hands? No, but it's serious, bro. Like, I didn't even mean to go on a rant, but it's just, I'm in the media now. Like, I've witnessed influence, right? Like, if I title the video in a certain way, or if I put out a certain tweet, like, what does that mean? Like, I was talking about this on the market close the other day. There's a reason that even though I've been, bearish SoFi, the stock, but I've always loved the company, I didn't flat out say like SoFi sucks, it's a piece of shit stock, whatever. Because A, I don't believe that. B, why would I want to use my influence to shit on people when they're down 30, 40% on their positions? That's just not a good thing I want to use my influence for. Two, that's not the truth. The stock was broken in SoFi. The company had a phenomenal leader. So I could, alter my perspective on SoFi to get a bunch of clicks and views, because just like these Palantir people saying that, or these ex-Palantir people, these people that hate Palantir saying it's the biggest bubble, they're getting views and attention off that. They're using Palantir to manipulate people's psyche, get them to sell, feel bad, and it's a marketplace of idea. Anyone can do that. But the point is, when you do that, you have to understand the responsibility that comes with that. And so the reason I never did that for SoFi is because I have respect for Anthony Noto. I have respect for the company, and I don't need to get clicks and views, which you can easily get by rage baiting a stock. It's not that hard to do on Twitter. It's very easy. Say this stock sucks. Everyone who thinks this stock sucks or they're shorting it, they're going to like your post, engage with it. Like, the point I'm trying to make is that the once you have some influence, you can recognize how easily it is to manipulate a narrative or an argument in a certain way. And then you have to be ethical enough to be like, do I want to do this or not? And a lot of these people in the media, in the mainstream media, they have zero ethics when it comes to this shit. Why? Because Pfizer's paying the bills, Big Pharma's paying the bills, these auto companies that really don't like Tesla, they're paying the bills. And and look, I don't blame them. Hey, if you're a journalist, you go down that life, you got to pay your bills. I get it. But then don't say regular people can't have influence. Regular people can't build their audience, because then you're just kind of destroying the fabric of democracy at that point. That's the logical extent. No one gets to be able to speak when we think certain people get a chance to speak and other people don't. That's the problem. James says, Amit, you need to make this section of the rant and post it up as a comment for prosperity. I didn't even mean to go on a rant, dude. It just pisses me off so much. Because media is one of them. I said this a long time ago, and now I'm kind of experiencing it, right? Media is one of the most privileged careers anyone can have. Think about what media is, quite frankly. you are like, let's just use me as an example. I wake up, I get to talk about the market, something I love to do all day, and that is my career. The amount of privilege that is associated. Now, I worked my ass off to get to this point, and there's a lot more work to be done, but the amount of privilege associated with getting to wake up and talk and tweet about the stock market, even though you could be contributing, to a large community and influence and all this stuff, sure, but like, it is not the same as getting your ass up and doing what my dad does every morning, or what my mom does, or being a teacher, or being a nurse, or all these other like really important things that matter. So when you understand media is a privileged career to have and a privileged career to build, then you also have to understand the tenets of media. And one of those tenets is, hey, free speech matters. And if I get to have a career in the media, I might not like what this dude's saying, but I definitely can't say that he does not deserve to participate in the creation of media. Because guess what? The audience will say that. If the audience hates that guy, they're not going to watch him. They're not going to tune in. That guy's not going to have the ability to even have any influence because no one cares about what he's saying. But the market decides that, not me, not the Axios CEO, right? And it is so fucking sad because I probably have a lot of friends who agree. I had this one friend today that tweeted, Elon Musk is becoming scary. I'm like, what? Elon Musk is like one of the, like, again, totally different world. But to me, I'm like, he's one of the reasons things are getting less scary to me. He's one of the reasons I'm starting to see people get excited to have an opinion again. And as Zocol says right here, media is power that needs to be protected. And media is power that if you have the power of the media, even to any extent, you need to know how to interpret it. Like, for example, my voice in the Palantir community obviously matters, right? Because over the past 4 years, been building this whole brand with Palantir, et cetera. So I think carefully about how I talk about Palantir. I can easily say, guys, I'm buying it at 65. Palantir's going to the moon. But I choose to not say that, and I haven't said that since 35, because I know that has influence. And if I buy at 65, other people are like, oh, well, Amit's buying at 65, Amit knows a lot about Palantir. Let's buy at 65. Now, if I actually buy at 65, I will say that. But I'm not going to say that in a way to get people to just get riled up, because I know that those words have power, and I think 65 is an expensive price to pay. And like just having those mental guardrails to actually understand how this stuff works, I think that's important. I don't talk about religion on the stream. Why? Because people have a very sophisticated and personal relationship with religion. My thoughts on religion, A, don't matter. B, you don't want to get people to feel a certain emotion when they're coming to you for stock market news and you start ranting about religion, which is deeply, deeply personal. Even going on this rant, it's not what you guys came for. But I think it matters because we're talking about media. We're talking about what it means in politics. We're talking about what it means in the broader stock market, because you don't have a stock market if you don't have real democracy. And that Axios guy is completely anti-democratic the way I'm interpreting it. So you have to have guardrails if you're going to be in the media. You don't need to have an opinion on everything. But at the same time, you also need to value people that do have an opinion on something. And you can't isolate them by saying that opinion is invalid. I think it's important. I think it's very, very important to have that core basic argument understood. And you have to control your thoughts. That is also true. You have to control your thoughts. Amit, are you buying at 65? I'm not buying at 65. But that's my point, dude. And even also, I don't even try to get political. Like, I know we had this whole election, and so we had to cover politics. And obviously, when you compare Trump to Kamala, there were certain things that were good about Trump versus Kamala, all this stuff. And we had to, but I don't talk about politics. I don't want to talk about politics every day. I don't care about Matt Gaetz. Have I brought up Matt Gaetz once? And all the shit he's going through, and he withdrew from the attorneys. Like, I don't care, dude. Like, that's not my thing. That's not what people come to see. If there's intersections, we'll talk about it. But the point is, and I said this a long time ago, I could talk about Matt Gaetz. I could talk about my thoughts on abortion, all that stuff, and try to impose my beliefs on people. But I don't want to do that because people don't need to get my beliefs on that stuff. And I don't want to have the narcissistic tendencies to think if I believe XYZ about abortion, then all the people that watch my show should feel the same way. Because that's really what I think happens when you start getting super, super political and start talking about all these sensitive subjects. But having said that, the reason I'm bringing that up is because it means that I'm trying to acknowledge the responsibility of actually building a career in media. And I'm also trying to balance that with the fact that if someone else wants to rant about abortion, they shouldn't be stopped from ranting about abortion. And that Axios guy doesn't want people to talk about certain subjects because he thinks they're not qualified journalists. Like, it is absolute insanity that the leaders of the mainstream media can applaud, by the way, that was the fakest applause ever, but they can applaud some guy saying that regular people should not be able to have a voice. His example about the brain surgeon was absolutely stupid, bro. Like, doing surgery, doing brain surgery and being a neurosurgeon is fundamentally different than speaking. And it's kind of insulting. He's trying to compare a journalist and all the work they do to, again, we just talked about how media is a very privileged career. They're in their the Starbucks getting a vanilla latte with their AirPod Maxes on, typing up an article to submit to the Wall Street Journal. That is not comparable to doing brain surgery. And he's trying to say what that journalist is doing is so complicated, so difficult, so elite, so precious that regular people don't have a chance to be able to do that. Guess what? Regular people are doing that at a way more efficient space and speed, and they have better information than that Wall Street Journal article writer sitting in Starbucks, sipping on a caramel macchiato, writing about Elon having sex with too many women. I mean, at the end of the day, that's like, it's really sad how the mainstream media is thinking about this. And so that's why I think Elon is right about you are the media. And I think it actually does matter at the end of the day. All right, rant over. How long was that a rant? Was that 10 minutes? Was that 10 minutes? Christian, thank you for the $10 super chat. It's a double-edged sword. I agree that medium and journalism is vital to who we are. However, old media is old and you are the new media. You have integrity. And that's why I watch you. Yeah, and look, at the end of the day, I think media is going to compete with each other. So the new journalists that are not using, traditional sources of journalism will compete with the old journalists. The problem with the old journalists is they don't know how to compete in a social media world. Like the Wall Street Journal reporters don't know how to build a YouTube audience. They don't know how to build a Twitter audience. They don't know how to make memes that gets people's attention. They don't know how to use Twitter in a way that works with the algorithm. All they know about is how to write a corporate structured article so that they can get paid by the advertisers advertising against the article. There's nothing wrong with that. But if that business model is dying out, then inevitably new media is going to win. And I think their interests are so monetarily attached versus searching for the truth, as they proclaim, that it's more about money versus anything else. Which is why I think 44 billion to me actually is undervalued for Twitter. I really do. Over the next 10 years, I think it's going to be the go-to place where people get their content, as long as the government doesn't try to put laws on what people can say on Twitter. And I think ultimately it is going to be a very, very, very valuable platform long term. Amid the First Amendment protects your right to be the media. Yeah, that's why Elon's saying you are the media. It's not even that controversial. He's just like, you are the media. I just thought it was nice because now he knows that he's not under a threat of, going to jail in a different administration. So he feels like people can speak now. But people should have always been able to speak under the First Amendment. That is the ideal and philosophy around that. Ranting like a real reporter. Amid what stock would you put 200K into tomorrow? No stocks. I would put 200K into. I would sell a variety of puts on a bunch of different names. There's no single stock I would put 200,000 into. But Amazon, Tesla, Palantir, and Hood is what I would sell puts on. And I would try to get some good returns on those. But in this market, dude, I don't know if I would dump 200K into anything. It's just everything's up a lot. So it's hard to just immediately dump it into. Yeah, Dogecoin if you want to gamble. Otherwise, it's tough. Yeah, so we talked about the Robinhood MS upgrade this morning, so you can go back to the Robinhood segment, but they're bullish. $55, another $50 price target on Robinhood, which is very, very, very good. A lot of people are moving to Blue Sky. Okay, so have you guys heard about Blue Sky? Blue Sky is the alternative version of Twitter. It was first developed as a decentralized protocol, and Jack Dorsey used to run it when he was at Twitter. He left, and now there's some woman who runs Blue Sky. I think Blue Sky is fine as another platform. The problem is it's just a competing platform with other platforms, right? Just like Threads. So I went on Blue Sky. It's just a lot of people hating Elon and hating Republicans. And it's like, it's an echo chamber right now for liberals because they're leaving Twitter and they want to go, like Don Lemon went there, all this stuff. You could argue Twitter has echo chambers as well for Republicans, for liberals, all this stuff, right? I just think all these alternative platforms that try to find a safe space, because that's what Blue Sky is being described as, like a safe space to leave from Twitter because like you won't get your feelings hurt because someone won't say anything that's mean. I think those platforms are not going to survive long term because people don't actually want that. People want realness and authenticity. And I think eventually, I mean, Twitter has 550 million people. Blue Sky has 20 million. If all 20 million of those people hate Elon and hate Republicans, then what do you think is going to happen if you try to grow your user base? You're not going to be able to grow them because you're going to have a lot of people that actually like Elon, that like Republican ideas, and they're not going to be able to post. Simple example is right here. So the Babylon Bee, which is a sort of conservative, joking type of website, they tried posting on Blue Sky, and it didn't work. They posted the other day that their posts immediately got flagged for insensitivity, which again, right? This is what Elon's kind of fighting against. The idea that something's insensitive to you, it's labeled intolerance. That's what they got labeled as. Look, there's some part of the world that believes that there should be some type of regime that determines what is intolerant or not. And then there's Elon that believes everything is fair game. And everything being fair game is very difficult to live in. You're going to get a lot of people that say a lot of shit that you don't agree with. And it's going to be very hard to look at those opinions and have to navigate them. But I just feel like it's better than the alternative. I don't even know what the post was, but they censored it for something. Thank you for the €10 super chat. Twitter also eliminates media propaganda. A recent example is how the media portrayed what happened to Israel hooligans in Amsterdam and how it was dismantled by citizen journalists on X. Yes, citizen journalism on Twitter, I also think is super important. And the only way citizen journalism works is if people actually start posting, right? And they're able to do their own stuff. So when you censor certain groups from saying stuff, then it's hard. Is it 10 pounds? I said 10 euros again. I need the freedom of speech to learn what pounds is over euros, dude. Why every time I say euros? I don't know. Is pound is worth more than a euro, right? Pound is like the superior currency. I just say euro every time. Bitcoin right here tanking 93.55. Bitcoin getting hit from 94,000. Palantir right here 64.65, up about 0.5%. Robinhood down 0.63. MicroStrategy down another 2% after hours. So I guess we will see if this Bitcoin dip gets eaten up or it continues to go down. If we don't know what they can post, how can we determine whether or not it was inappropriate? I think that's Elon's point. Elon's point is nothing is inappropriate. Elon's point is nothing is bad. Nothing is wrong. Nothing is true. Nothing is real. It's just out there, right? And based on it being out there, and the Babylon Bee, it's like the Onion, right? Like they're a conservative version of the Onion. So it's some stupid headline that they had that's probably insensitive to some groups or whatever. You know, Elon's saying that shouldn't be banned. The Axios CEO is saying that should be banned because that's bad. And I just think it's really, 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 really dangerous because I am a living proof of independent content creators being able to develop a voice. That's why I'm so sensitive about this. And it's just really scary when someone says this thing should be banned or these people shouldn't speak, because where do you draw the bright line? How do you determine? That's why the whole debate with the Robinhood and meme coin thing, it's not exactly the same, but I'm like, why is Robinhood determining that this coin deserves to be listed or not? They're a brokerage, right? They're a crypto exchange, right? Everything should be fair game. They're a crypto exchange. Otherwise, they should be SMCI. They're about to get delisted, so it's too risky. MSTR is too leveraged. We should protect retail investors. Like, no, bro. Like, people have to make their own decisions. And so I think the same comes down with platforms and content at the end of the day. All right, cool. That's it. I think that was like a fucking 25-minute rant, dude. Next time I say I don't want to get into a rant, just spam "don't rant" in the chat to stop me from ranting. Because if not, I'm going to go on the rant trajectory and just keep ranting. All right, I think that's it. Tomorrow's a big day on earnings. We got a lot of stuff to go through. Early in the morning, we've got Best Buy, Abercrombie, Macy's, Burlington, Smuckers, and Dick's. So we have to be ready to make sure that those earnings aren't too hard. And then after close, we have CrowdStrike, Dell, HP, Workday, Autodesk, and Nutanix. So big day tomorrow for earnings, and then we're done. And then day before Thanksgiving, and then what else do we have? And then Black Friday. I talked to Steve today. Black Friday, probably noon. We're going to do the dividend podcast, and we'll try to get Chris on there to talk about fixed income. So Steve was like, no one's going to watch it. I was like, no, Steve. People actually, they've made some money this year. They want to protect it. I think a lot of people care about learning about fixed income and like developing cash from your portfolio. So that'll be hopefully a good pod, and we will keep talking from there. All right, that is it. Amit's channeling his inner Karp with the rant. Well, you know, I think Karp feels the same. Although Karp is more progressive economically, he is tired of this whole like censor. Some people can talk, some people can't talk. We can't have an opinion if you're a Democrat, I'm a Republican. I mean, Peter Thiel is like one of the more hardcore libertarians ever. Karp is super progressive. Karp believes in like more redistributive wealth, all that stuff. They find a way to get along. And Karp doesn't really care because at the end of the day, that's what you need in a functioning democracy. All right, that's it. Yes, CrowdStrike is tomorrow. That'll be an important one. Now, CrowdStrike, they're up close to their all-time highs from when they tanked in July. So I think there's a little bit more downside risk than upside risk. But if they can crush earnings and show 30% growth, net new ARR added to the overarching platform as they're expanding into different areas, then I think CrowdStrike will do well. Oh my God, Dogecoin is below 39 cents. What's happening? No. Oh my God, Bitcoin's falling below 93. Why is this happening? Why can't people just stop selling? Why are people so short-sighted? Why can't they just wait for like 100? Oh my God. Look at this. Now Robinhood's down. Marathon's down. MicroStrategy's down. Rolly says buy the dip. Rolly, we don't want to hear buy the dip. We want to blame people that are selling, dude. Oh my gosh. Dude, what if 95.6 was the top? What if it was the top, dude? What if 95 point, oh my God, if 99 point, if 99.6 was the top? Can you imagine, bro, this thing goes back to 70 and like all the momentum's just gone. Everyone just like doesn't care anymore. Oh boy, I guess we'll see. This is why we invest in the markets. We're going to see kind of how this play out. Too early in the cycle to be the top. I agree. I think it's too early. I think it's just way too early. My wife called it a Black Friday. Dude, if it's Black Friday and Bitcoin's at like 85,000 and my wife walks in while I'm looking at the screen and I'm seeing my net worth materially go down and she says, "Oh, it's on sale because it's Black Friday." I think I would lose my shit, bro. I'd be like, "Do you know what was happening right now?" She's like, "Yeah, it's on. It says it's Black Friday." I'd be like, "You don't get it." I was like, "Well, now you can't go Black Friday shopping. Give me back my credit card. We're poor. We're poor again. We are poor. Bitcoin goes below 90. We're back to being poor." But no, ultimately, I think we get into that 95 range into Thanksgiving. I don't think it goes below 90, but who knows? I definitely don't think we get it to 100 by Thanksgiving either. So if I had to say a range, I would say 93 to 97. And I think that's not a crazy range. I don't think we're going below 90. I don't think we're going above 100. So that would be the range that I think would happen. All right, that's it. No one say anything that would cause me to rant because I have to actually end the stream. You know, it's a struggle to end the stream. It is a struggle to like click end stream because my mind wanders into so many places and then I start talking about stuff. And then next thing you know, it's fucking like the market close on Friday was 4 hours, bro. I was like, how did I talk for 4? I don't know. I don't know how it happens. But somehow there's a way. Somehow there's a way. All right, so that's it. I'll be back tomorrow morning. Laura says you wouldn't marry that person in the first place. Well, actually, no, if she has a good sense of humor, because that Black Friday joke is a good sense of humor. I would be laughing. I would be upset, but I'd be laughing. Because it's good humor. I like humor. I appreciate humor. I can't be with a girl who gets mad if you make a joke that's a little insensitive right here and there, because it's a joke, bro. Like if you get upset at a joke, I don't think I could be with you. Like you got to be able to take it on the chin in any which direction when it comes to jokes and just deal with it. So that is definitely a quality that I care about. Okay, so we'll be back tomorrow, market open. We have a lot of earnings. Palantir Daily, I think, should be out today. If not, it'll be out tomorrow. It'll cover the price targets. I'm just waiting on that report. And is there anything else? Oh yeah, and the meetups. I'm gonna set up a Google. I'm thinking of setting up like a Telegram channel. It's gonna be so ironic because you guys have been spammed by so many fake emits to join their Telegram. But I think it'll be a Telegram channel where no one can talk. It's just me sending the update, and you guys can like react via emojis, so it doesn't turn into this massive group chat because I don't think anyone wants that. But I'll be like, hey, Boston, here's the location. And anyone who wants to join the Telegram channel before we do the meetup, you can join so you can get updated on everything. I think that's the best way to do this. And then when I go to like Dallas, I'll make a Telegram for Dallas, and all the people in Dallas can join the Telegram from the stream, and then you can get the updates from there. So I think that'll be the way to do it. And Amit wants to silence us. After ranting for 20 minutes about free speech, Amit wants to silence. That's actually hilarious. No, just in general, dude, I've been in those group chats before and it gets like, it's just too much, right? There's just too many people talking. And this is so ironic because I just said everyone should be able to talk. This is so bad, but like, it'll just be more efficient for people to get the messages. All right, that's it. I'm going to stay here and rant too long. Love you guys. Thank you for being here. Market open tomorrow. We'll be back. And thank you all for joining. We'll see you tomorrow with a bunch of earnings we got on the market open. Bye, everyone. Have a good one.